me tell you something. There's a reason why people will be in abusive relationships and not want to leave. They will call you all sorts of names, beat you up, and all of that. So there is something called attachment styles, all right? Okay, let me tell you what it is. A psychologist, I think Mary Ainsworth, discovered that the relationship a child has with his primary caregiver, either his mom or dad, the relationship a child has with his or her primary caregiver influences how the child makes decisions and builds relationships in future. Well, her own research was with children specifically, and other people developed it and discovered that same pattern goes on when you're an adult. So for instance, if you did not have present parents, there's a way it affects you. You may not know. Have you seen children that had to be independent too early? Because their parents were not available, they became adults at 11, at 10. They literally had to hustle for their daily bread because no one's going to do it for you. And let me tell you something. Some children will not be normal. They will be so strong. They will feel very strong. They are doing things on their own. In fact, they will brag about their achievements. But you see, you lost your childhood. And you don't realize there's a problem until it is time to build relationships. You can't be intimate. Because you see, you are built for war. That's why. You don't want peace. Always alert. Have you seen people who avoid all forms of physical touch? If you hug them, it's like they are melting, like ice cream that you put under sun. They can't handle it. Let me tell you something. If you do that test, all right, let me explain what I'm doing. It is one thing for the Bible to say, husbands, love your wives. Guess what? Some people don't know what that means. Are you aware? When Jesus said, husbands, love your wives, don't think everybody knows what that means. Some people don't know. I paid house rent. There's food in the house. What are you saying? Are you aware there are men who think like that? See the switch. Light is coming on. Why are you crying? Especially African men. What else could you possibly need? So where is he? That is why I like the teaching ministry of Jesus. Jesus brought contexts, practical contexts to biblical instructions. So when he says, if you bring your sacrifice to the altar and there you remember that someone has aught against you, he says, go and drop it first. Are you getting what I'm saying? So for instance, you can hear a sermon on forgiveness, but you don't realize that your devotion is not supposed to continue in spite of unforgiveness. So when Jesus said, drop your sacrifice, go and make peace first. Now that's context. Because I can tell you one thing, from counseling people for years, some people don't know how to draw conclusions from simple biblical instructions. You'll be amazed. One of the people was telling me, they were watching like this. Someone's money fell on the floor. Another person, that's it. People were coming to church. Someone's money fell on the floor. Another person at the back picked it, entered church, put it in, joined the worship. Do you understand what I'm saying? So let me tell you something. Are you aware there are some people that just feel that's game now? Soji. Oh, you know many people like that. You two, why did your money drop? They are just see. Oh my God, you'll be amazed what people don't know. Let me give you this example. Not that they told me I was there. There was a church I served at years ago. Someone came to share testimony. Said, I want to thank God. I was writing an exam and I did not know any of the questions. Any of the questions. And I was thinking, God, is this how I will feel? I was praying, God help me. She said, as God will have it. Yeah, testimony, no? True life story. I said, as God will have it, the vigilator slept off. He said, as God. Listen, it's one thing. Listen, it is one thing to believe God did it. It's another thing to believe it enough to share the test. It means you believe, I can't keep this to myself. People need to hear about this testimony. Jesus, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Now, this one is Jesus here testimony. People need to hear this. You'll be surprised how clueless people are. So, I'm telling you, at least understanding why you are the way you are is a very important step to healing. The moment Nathanael hears Jesus say, I saw you under the fig tree, like it's diagnostic. The problem is identified. Healing can begin. Say loud amen. So there are 4 attachment styles, and I'll run through them as quickly as possible. Time is gone. All right. So there is what is called the secure attachment. And people who have secure attachment are simply people who are comfortable with intimacy and can balance dependence and independence in relationships. All right. Now, this, I can tell you one thing for sure. Are you with me? So secure attachments, they have healthy boundaries. Can you say healthy boundaries? Let me tell you something. One of the most important things that every human being must experience, you must have at least one person in your life that loves you unconditionally. I can't tell you how important it is. Let me tell you, every child that is sent into the world and has not experienced unconditional love will be in trouble. When you know that there is someone in the world, no matter the mistake I've made, how bad, it doesn't matter the quagmire I find myself in. If I go to this person, the person will embrace me, will scold me, but will embrace me, correct me. You don't understand the kind of emotional strength and succor that provides. And I want to tell you this. Your parents were meant to be that. They were meant to be. They were meant to be. You know, one thing I will never forget that I was just passing and my mom was telling my older sister, she said, if you get pregnant, I'll be very disappointed, but I must be the first person to know. I said, wow. I was very young at the time, but I felt this is so powerful. This makes sense. She said, I must be the first person to know. Let me tell you something. When a child has experienced that, the level of strength and security, you can't deceive the person. Let me tell you something. There's a reason why people will be in abusive relationships and not want to leave. They will call you all sorts of names, beat you up, and all of that. It is because this unconditional love that we're talking about, you have not experienced it before. I have not experienced it before.